I should have seen the signs long before her phone lit up that night. Amanda was always good at keeping secrets, or maybe I was just too trusting, too willing to believe we were still the same couple we'd been when we first met. We were having a quiet night at home. She was curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone with that small, private smile she used to reserve just for me. It stung more than I wanted to admit. I pushed the thought away. It had been a tough year, and maybe I was reading too much into things. "Babe, I'm gonna shower," she said casually, setting her phone on the coffee table. "Sure," I replied, forcing a smile. Her phone buzzed the moment she disappeared into the bathroom. I wasn't the type to snoop, but curiosity got the better of me. Maybe I just wanted to prove myself wrong. "Can't stop thinking about last night. You're incredible." My chest tightened. The message was from her boss, Eric. I felt like the room spun around me, my mind racing through every late-night work meeting, every business trip she'd taken. It all clicked in a sickening instant. I should have barged into the bathroom, demanded an explanation, but I didn't. My hands shook as I put the phone back exactly where she'd left it. Like touching it too long would burn me. I sat on the couch, staring at the dark TV screen, numb. When she came out, she was all smiles, wrapped in a towel like nothing had changed. But for me, everything had. "Everything okay?" she asked, toweling her hair dry. "Yeah," I lied. That night I didn't sleep. I lay next to her, my heart pounding, unable to stop replaying that message in my head. How long had this been going on? How could she look me in the eyes every day and pretend we were okay? The next few days were a blur. I went to work, came home, and tried to act normal, even though I felt like I was unraveling from the inside out. Every time her phone buzzed, I flinched. I hated myself for being too scared to confront her. One night, after she'd fallen asleep, I couldn't take it anymore. I reached for her phone, shaking as I unlocked it with the passcode I'd memorized long ago. Back when trust wasn't something I questioned. The messages confirmed everything I feared. And more. Flirty texts, intimate photos, inside jokes I was never meant to see. My breath hitched as I read one. "I wish I could spend every night with you instead." My stomach twisted. It wasn't just sex, it was emotional, too. She was living a whole other life with this man, and I was just convenient. The next morning, I confronted her. She barely looked surprised. Just tired. Like she'd expected this moment and dreaded it. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this," she said softly, not even trying to deny it. "So it's true," I whispered, more to myself than to her. "It's complicated," she muttered, crossing her arms defensively. "Complicated," I snapped. "You've been sleeping with your boss behind my back for months. What's complicated about that?" She bit her lip, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. For a split second, I thought she might apologize, but instead, she said the last thing I expected. "I still love you, James." I just felt trapped. Trapped. After everything we'd built together. 7 years of marriage, countless memories. She felt trapped. Anger flared in my chest. But beneath it was something far worse. Hurt. "I guess you want a divorce," I said flatly, already bracing myself. "No," she looked almost desperate. "I don't want that. I was thinking, maybe we could try something different." I stared at her, confused. "What the hell are you talking about?" Her voice wavered. "An open marriage. No lies. No sneaking around." I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound. "You're serious?" She stepped closer, placing a tentative hand on my arm. "I'm not asking you to stay faithful while I explore. You could see other people too. Maybe it would help me, figure things out." The audacity of it hit me like a punch to the gut. She'd already broken us, and now she wanted permission to keep doing it. But on her terms. Part of me wanted to scream at her, to throw her out, but another part saw an opportunity. Maybe this was my chance to turn the tables, to take back control she thought she still had. "All right," I said, voice steady. "Let's try it." Her eyes widened, clearly expecting a fight. But I wasn't giving her the satisfaction. Not yet. If she thought she could have it all, she was about to learn what it felt like to lose everything. The first few weeks after our arrangement felt like walking through a surreal nightmare. Amanda was practically glowing, acting like her life had been magically fixed by our new open marriage setup. She spent her evenings dressing up for late meetings and weekend work retreats, clearly seeing Eric without even trying to hide it anymore. And me? I played along. I went to work, came home, and let her believe I was still stuck. Still the dependable, boring husband who'd wait for her like a loyal dog. But inside, I was already planning my next move. I started small, rejoined the gym, cleaned up my diet, and even dusted off my old guitar. I wasn't trying to win her back. I was reclaiming the parts of myself she'd slowly erased over the years. Then one night, fate handed me something unexpected. It was a Friday, and Amanda was working late again. I couldn't stand sitting in our silent house, so I decided to check out a local charity tech event I'd seen advertised. It was one of those social networking things I usually avoided, but something about getting out felt necessary. I was halfway through a boring presentation on tech startups when I heard a familiar voice behind me. "James? Is that you?" I turned, and there she was, Melissa. We hadn't seen each other in years, but time had only made her more striking. Confident, warm, real. Melissa? Wow, it's been, 10 years? Closer to 12. She laughed, her hazel eyes sparkling. "You haven't changed a bit." I smiled, feeling something stir inside me I hadn't felt in a long time. "I could say the same about you." We ended up talking the rest of the night, swapping stories and catching up like old friends. There was no pressure, no awkwardness, just ease. Eventually, the event wound down, but neither of us wanted the night to end. She suggested grabbing a late bite at a nearby diner, and before I knew it, we were sitting across from each other in a dimly lit booth, sharing fries and stories like no time had passed. "So, you're married?" she asked casually, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee mug. "Yeah," I admitted, suddenly feeling exposed. "It's complicated." Her brows lifted. "Complicated how?" I hesitated, wondering how much to share. But something about Melissa made me feel safe, like she could handle the truth without judging me. "We're in an open marriage," I finally said. Her idea, not mine. Melissa studied me for a moment, her expression unreadable. "Are you okay with that?" I sighed. "Honestly, I'm not sure. It's new." She nodded slowly. "Well, if you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Her words lingered long after we said goodbye. I hadn't expected her. But now, for the first time in months, I felt like there might be something beyond the wreckage Amanda had left behind. Things escalated faster than I expected. Melissa and I started texting. Innocent at first, just little jokes and updates, but soon our conversations grew deeper, more personal. She was real in a way Amanda hadn't been in years. One Saturday night, when Amanda was conveniently working late again, Melissa invited me over for dinner. I should have felt guilty, but I didn't. Amanda had set the rules, and for once I was playing by her game. Dinner turned into wine on her back porch, the soft glow of string lights wrapping us in warmth. We talked for hours, sharing stories we'd never told anyone else. At some point, our hands brushed, and neither of us pulled away. I still remember the way she looked at me, like I was enough. When she kissed me, it wasn't rushed or desperate. It was right. Like coming home after being lost for far too long. After that night, there was no going back. Melissa and I fell into something that felt effortless and electric all at once. Every moment with her made me realize how much I'd been missing, how much Amanda had taken from me without me even noticing. Meanwhile, Amanda was still oblivious, basking in the glow of her double life. She barely noticed how often I stayed out late or how much happier I seemed. But one night, she finally caught on. I came home after a particularly perfect evening with Melissa, still smiling when I walked through the door. Amanda was sitting on the couch, a glass of wine in her hand, watching me with narrowed eyes. "You seem different lately," she said carefully. I shrugged, hanging up my coat. "Just been busy." She tilted her head, suspicion creeping into her expression. Busy with what? I met her gaze steadily. Life. Her jaw tightened. For the first time, she looked uncertain. The tables were turning, and she hated it. A week later, she blindsided me at dinner. I want to close the marriage, she announced, her voice almost timid. I miss us. I set my fork down slowly, masking the shock that hit me. Now she wanted me back? After months of living out her fantasy. Now she realized what she'd lost? I'm not sure that's a good idea, I said evenly. I thought you liked things the way they are. Her face twisted in frustration. I made a mistake, James. I see that now. I leaned back, letting her words hang in the air. She was desperate, and she hated how powerless she felt. Besides, I added casually, I've met someone. Her eyes widened, panic flashing across her face. What do you mean? I'm seeing someone, I said. She's amazing. For the first time, Amanda truly understood what she'd set in motion. This wasn't just a temporary thrill she could control. She'd opened Pandora's box, and now she couldn't close it. The look on her face was priceless. Amanda's face crumpled like she'd been physically struck. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her eyes darting back and forth as if searching for something to say that would undo everything. I could see the panic setting in, the realization that she wasn't in control anymore. You're seeing someone? She whispered, her voice trembling. Yes. I kept my tone calm, steady. Melissa. Her breathing quickened, and for a moment, I thought she might scream or cry, but Amanda was too proud for that. She clenched her jaw instead, masking her desperation with forced indignation. You did this just to get back at me, didn't you? She accused, her voice sharp and brittle. This is revenge. I let out a slow breath, shaking my head. No, Amanda. This stopped being about you a long time ago. Her hands shook as she slammed her wine glass down on the table, spilling red drops across the white tablecloth like bloodstains. I'm your wife. We've been together for 7 years. You can't just... I can, I interrupted, my voice steady but firm. Because you already did. Her lips trembled, her anger crumbling into something rawer. I thought we could fix this. Did you? I asked bitterly. Or did you just think I'd wait around forever while you played games with Eric? Her face twisted in shame and something that might have been regret. But I couldn't tell anymore. Maybe I didn't care. The next few weeks were tense and volatile. Amanda swung between begging me to reconsider and lashing out with cruel words meant to hurt me. We have history. We can fix this. You're throwing everything away. Asterisk asterisk. But I was done being manipulated by her tears, her charm, or her empty promises. The history she kept clinging to wasn't enough anymore, not after everything she'd done. I met with a divorce lawyer, signed the papers, and braced myself for the inevitable fallout. She didn't take it well. One night, she showed up unannounced at my office, mascara-streaked and visibly shaking. You're really doing this? She whispered, holding the divorce papers like they might burst into flames. Yes. Her voice cracked. Is it because of her? It's because of you. I turned and walked away, leaving her alone with the mess she'd created, the life she'd destroyed with her own hands. The divorce process dragged on longer than expected. Amanda fought tooth and nail for every piece of furniture, every shared asset, like letting go of our material things might make losing me less real. But I didn't care about the stuff. I just wanted my freedom. Through it all, Melissa stood by me. Steady, supportive, never demanding more than I could give. She was patient with my slow healing, letting me work through my anger, guilt, and hurt without ever pressuring me for answers about our future. One night, after another brutal legal meeting with Amanda's lawyer, I came home feeling drained, like I had nothing left to give. Melissa was waiting on the couch with 2 mugs of tea and that soft, knowing smile that made everything feel manageable. I sank down beside her, resting my head against her shoulder as she ran her fingers gently through my hair. You okay? She asked quietly. Getting there, I murmured. And for the first time, I actually meant it. The day the divorce was finalized, I felt strangely light, free in a way I hadn't expected. No more games, no more pretending. Just possibility. Amanda tried one last time to reach out, sending me a long, emotional email about regrets and second chances. I read it once, closed my laptop, and never responded. Some doors needed to stay closed. Melissa and I moved in together a few months later. Not because we needed to, but because it felt right. She made my life brighter, easier. Asterisk asterisk real. Asterisk asterisk with her. There were no secrets, no manipulations. Just us. One quiet evening, as we sat on the balcony of our new apartment, watching the city lights shimmer below, she rested her head on my shoulder. "Do you ever regret how things turned out?" she asked softly. I thought about Amanda's tear-streaked face, her desperate pleas, the ashes of the life we'd built together. I thought about the years I'd wasted trying to be someone she'd never truly wanted or deserved. "No," I said honestly, taking her hand in mine. "Not for a second." For the first time in years I felt whole, free. Amanda had gambled and lost. But me, I finally won.